Greetings, Guardians, my name is Byfear. Again, still a little under the weather, still just at the tail end of this cough, so if my voice sounds a little bit different from usual, that is why. Today, though, we're going to talk a little more about Eris Morn. For those of you that are new to Destiny, Eris Morn is a character that is as well connected to the story of the Hive as a Guardian can get. She lost her friends, Fireteam, Ghost, and Sight to the Hive on the Moon, and would eventually take revenge by assisting in our efforts to kill Crota and Oryx, two very powerful Hive gods. Her expertise in all things to do with the Hive is not to be underestimated at all. So all of this really raises a natural question. With Savathun having revealed herself this season, and with her sitting there perfectly in place, people have been wondering, where oh where is Eris Morn? We're going to talk a little bit more about that today, both in terms of lore and in terms of video game logistics and the business of game development. So, where has Eris Morn been? What's her stance on Savathun, and what are the reasons she's been missing? Well, I think we need to jump out of the lore for once and talk about game development stuff. Yeah, it's a weird one, but I promise there is more lore stuff still to come, and this is actually really important to talk about when it comes down to the actual logistics of why Eris isn't there. Recently there was an article by Games Radar in which Julia Nardan and Nico Stevens were both talked to extensively, and they discussed the narrative of the Season of the Lost. By the way, I hope I got both of your names pronounced correctly. If not, my sincerest apologies. It's a great article, which I'll link down below if you've not already read it, but it talks a lot about the different points of the narrative surrounding some characters that aren't in the season, as well as a whole bunch of other things. In particular, the following quote addresses characters like Eris Morn. "One constraint here is choosing a cast who can carry the story forward. Destiny's rich universe is sometimes a burden. There are tons of characters fighting tons of battles at any given moment. How does Bungie pick and choose what and who to put on the stage? The answer, Nardan tells me, is triage. One of the challenges we have with the stories we're trying to tell, because we've got multiple seasons in a year and we have a very small window in which to write a season, work with the other disciplines and create this cohesive thing, is there's not a lot of room to do all the things that we want to do, she says. We triage stories and characters. It would have been amazing if we could have included Eris in the Season of the Lost, but as we were writing the list of characters who would have been invested in what's going on, we've got Crow in front of Mara Sov, so we need Mara Sov, we need Petra, we knew we were revealing Osiris to be Savathun, so automatically we need Ikora involved because Osiris was her mentor, and she's one of the leaders of the Vanguard. We knew we needed Saint involved because Saint was Osiris's partner. It gets to a point where we can't put any more characters into a story without diluting the quality of the story we're trying to tell. Eris didn't quite make the cut, but it doesn't mean we're not interested in telling stories with Eris. It just means we're going to tell that story in a different release. So there we have a little bit of an answer. Eris's involvement in the story would have been too much at current for Bungie to include in the Season of the Lost, and Bungie has to make do with telling her story in a later release. Whether or not this will be Witch Queen or not isn't really mentioned, but I have a feeling that Eris is almost bound to be involved in the story of the Hive and the Darkness going forward generally. The reasons for this are somewhat clear, given her connection to the Hive and her recent acquisition of Darkness-based powers, including Stasis. However, it has still been a very long time since we've heard from Eris Morn, and as a result I think it's clear that we still need to do a little investigating on what trajectory her storytelling seems to be going. As last we can tell, she was on Europa, and was part of the quote-unquote Dark Vanguard, including herself, the Exo Stranger, and the Drifter. But more so than that, she still resumes her present operations on the Moon. What she's doing with regards to Savathun is still up in the air, but we can tell at very least what her intentions are. There are a few sources that mention Eris in the lore, and I think firstly we need to go ahead and take a look at everything that dropped in Beyond Light in the Dark Future lore book. In this, Eris Morn suffers a fate that the Exo Stranger has seen countless times in other timelines. She falls to darkness and actually becomes strong enough to control Savathun, and even becomes basically the principal locus of the Darkness's power. She is effectively its instrument in the same way that Xivu Arath currently is. Thus far, this fate has been avoided by Eris, She has learned the powers of darkness, but with the stranger's assistance, now she has a degree of control necessary to prevent her own corruption. However, this risk is still present, and it's in that darkness and its relationship with her that I believe Eris's future lies. Back in Beyond Light, Eris wrote a lore book called Regarding Stasis. These entries were addressed to a whole host of characters, including Ikora, the Drifter, Zavala, the Stranger, and even us. I want to read what I think are two of the most important entries that will determine the shape of Eris's future in the Witch Queen expansion and beyond. Those two entries are addressed to Queen Mara Sov of the Reef and to the Witch Queen Savathun. They read as follows, starting with the entry to Mara Sov. My Queen, your absence during this time is distressing. I am certain the efforts on your front are not in vain, though I must inform you that our situation is evolving rapidly. Your guidance and support are greatly missed. We have made substantial and irrevocable progress in our understanding of the darkness. Its wants, desires, and needs become clearer each passing day. I have much to share with you, though I am concerned you will be displeased by the means with which we have obtained the information. Before word reaches you that Eris Morn has been compromised, I will tell you myself. I am fighting the darkness using darkness itself. It is vital to me that you know beyond any doubt that I am of sound mind and body, and our agreement stands. While I use darkness to combat it, my focus remains steady. I know there are threats far greater assailing us on all fronts. We must strike back in measure, and this is my part, my front. For left unchecked, Savathun will become the greatest threat of them all. When I encountered her last, she demeaned me, tried to use my friends against me and rob me of my strength. She has no idea how powerful I've become. I will see her end firsthand. I acknowledge there is great anger in me. I know the darkness would sooner exploit my rage than grant me serenity. I will not dishonor our friendship with lies. It is hard to control my emotions. I feel the temptation to give in. I urge you not to condemn me. You know what I have seen, what I have been through. I'm not one for reckless abandon. Though this may seem a last resort, I have unveiled a great potential for us all. While I have received resistance from the Vanguard, more are joining our ranks. Soon we will wield the power we need to stave off the odious minions of the darkness permanently. Soon the Witch Queen will feel my wrath. Soon there will be peace. I hope when you return it is to a world without strife. For now, I ask that you continue to believe in me. Your support has remained a beacon in the most trying of times, and were it to extinguish, I fear what would ensnare me. I am sure you are frightened and appalled by these developments, but I assure you this is for the greater good. While you may disapprove of my methods, know that the ends will justify the means. This last encounter with the Witch Queen that Eris was talking about was when she was briefly tormented by Savathun and was lost in the Ascendant Plane before being greeted by Toland. All of this eventually led Eris to the revelation of the Pyramid's presence on the moon and the start of the Shadowkeep expansion, 1 year after Forsaken. It also details the great struggle that Eris undergoes when trying to control her powers of darkness, and how the Witch Queen has unquestionably gotten under her skin. Eris is in a place where temptation lies all around, temptation that would lead her into the rage-filled clutches of the darkness. Resisting such a pull will be hard, especially considering what she had to say to Savathun. That entry reads as follows. You believed yourself clever, unassailable, and omniscient. For too long you were, manipulating and pulling at our strings, howling at our failings. The Black Needle punctured our deficiencies, injecting fear and doubt into our cause. You have grown greedy, witch. Your ambition has forced you to overextend your reach. You have revealed your weaknesses, and through stasis, I have become powerful enough to rid us of your curse on existence. We control the darkness and the light now, and it will be your undoing. Your hands are wet with the blood of my allies. I have not forgotten the suffering your meddling has caused. We saw you, the puppet master behind Oryx's plot. We heard your screams as Crota met his end. Your cowardice will conceal you no longer. I am coming for you. I will be your end. As your elders before you and your progeny after you fall, and all that surrounds you crumbles, Eris Morn will stand in front of you, smiling as I wipe your name from the pantheon of gods. You will suffer a humiliating defeat as your power dwindles and your influence withers. We will laugh at your demise. You will become a fascination. Children will sing songs and tell cautionary tales of the old witch whose avarice deprived her of her desires. You will fade into fable and eventually nothing. A bygone dream of pains no more. Do you understand this clearly, Savathun? We are no longer forced to endure your torture. There is no veil for you to hide behind. We see you plainly. Your orchestration has led to too many foul notes. All your attempts to subjugate this power have failed. You are a plague, and we are the cure. Your army will be eradicated, and the hive will be a layer of dust cushioning our footsteps. Trust me, you will hate it. I find myself giddy at these thoughts. Revenge suits me, it seems. I no longer know fear. I am overcome with certainty. When next we come face to face, I will remove the bandages that shield me, so I may see you for all you are and all you are not. And you will see me and know that the fire that burns behind my eyes will be your oblivion, suffocating and searing you to ash. Prepare yourself. I am your ruin. It isn't clear from any of this if Eris Morn will be a part of the Witch Queen's story. Thus far, the only characters revealed for said story include ourselves, the Witch Queen Savathun, and Ikora Rey, but I feel personally that it's almost inevitable. And should she be there when the Witch Queen falls, perhaps we shall finally see what lies behind the bandages of her eyes, as she removes them to cast the Witch Queen into her funeral pyre. Perhaps at long last we will comprehend the fury of the one we have known as the Last. For if there is one whose wrath I would fear more than any other, it is that which has actionably been shown to destroy gods. It will still not be complete until the Osmium dynasty has been wiped from the universe, and until the worm gods cry their last foul cries. But when Savathun dies, yet again Eris Morn takes one more step to completing her revenge. But that is all from me for now. If you enjoyed the video, go ahead and leave a like, and if you have your own thoughts, go ahead and leave them down below in the comments section. And thank you very much again for everybody for sticking with me. I know that content last week was slow, but again, this voice thing has gotten me in this place where I basically wasn't able to record for a while. Having said all of that, again, it's why I'm glad for you guys. You're one of the most consistent audiences, and I think that's partly because of the fact that I put out good content, and I think that's partly because of the fact that being candid with you from time to time, whether it's on videos or Twitter, means that we have a good working relationship from creator to audience. And I hope that's the case. If so, cool. Awesome. Let's keep it that way. If not, let me know how I can improve down below in the comments section. But of course, as per usual, know that your viewership, as always, is quite enough for me. And that in the meantime, my name has been My Name is Byf. Porodacia ad Astra. I'll see you, Starside.